Back in 1991, an amazing story filled our media. 3 fishermen set out from one of the tiny Pacific islands of Kiribati. They were going to spend the day fishing to feed themselves and their families. During that day, their outboard motor broke down. They had no way of reaching shore and no radio to call for help. They were at the mercy of the sea in an uncovered 13-foot aluminium dinghy. They drifted for days, moving wherever the tide and wind carried them, until the days turned into weeks. They had some fishing gear, so they kept themselves alive by catching fish and eating it raw. All they had to drink was blood from the fish. One day they saw something floating in the water. When they finally managed to get close to it by paddling with their hands, it was a hard plastic safety helmet. They used it to catch rainwater. They spent their days exercising to prevent their bodies and muscles deteriorating, praying, singing hymns, drifting in silence, and sleeping. One night in a storm, a huge wave overturned the boat and they lost all their fishing gear, everything except the boat itself, the safety helmet, and a piece of nylon cord that floated. From then on, they survived by lassoing sharks by the tail with the cord. Eventually, one of the 3 died. His companions kept him with them for one night and the next morning buried him in the sea. On another day, which seemed to them just like all the others, they saw land. With the strength they had left and paddling with their hands and the plastic helmet for 36 hours, they managed to get the boat over a reef and into a lagoon. Exhausted, they finally crawled ashore on Western Samoa. They were 2,000 miles from home. They'd been adrift on the sea for 7 months. It's an amazing story of survival. What kept the fishermen going, so they said afterwards, was their faith in God and their memories of home and family, which they spoke about constantly. All they wanted to do was to go home. The story shows the power of memory and hope. It tells us a lot about the Christian life and about Advent in particular. What keeps us going as people of faith are the sustaining power of memory and hope. We remember Christ born in Bethlehem, his amazing life, his death and resurrection. That life gives us hope that Christ will embrace us for eternity. Memory gives birth to hope. And that memory and hope keep us going in the present, strengthening us to persevere through grief and loss, anxiety and fear, and everything that life throws up. This Advent, please remember and hope, and know the power they give us in the present.